How to get a construction permit. In this quick video, I'm going to talk about the most important considerations and summarize it, and then invite you to look at the longer videos that I have about how to pull a permit and then the considerations that you should know about when focusing on permits and permissions. Okay, so we've got the content, we've got the checklist, but this is a brief summary, and I really think you're going to like it because I want to give some warnings here. Okay, so let's go. So we all know that construction's not easy when it comes to permits, okay? We all know that it's difficult. And permitting isn't just the overall building permit, but it's any permitting or permissions that you need for permanent power, to work with the utility companies, to like literally work in the city, county, or state. Any permits that, I mean, there's just so many. There's permits for FEMA, there's permits for the county, there's permits for the federal government. The key here for me that I really want to communicate in this video is having advanced knowledge, research, and knowing the step-by-step processes. If not, it's going to really get you in trouble. Now, let me go ahead and talk to you about a little bit of a story. There was one time where a developer wanted to create a net zero building in Phoenix, Arizona. And it was going to be a multifamily, it's not low income, but a multifamily building, net zero. And this developer was willing to spend extra money for the development, spend extra money for the solar, really provide the benefits back to the renters, and really do a good turn for the electrical company and make sure that they didn't lose out on any profits that were necessary. And because of the bureaucracy and the fact that literally most utility companies don't care anything, I'm not on a rant right now, but they don't care anything about the environment, and they don't really care about solar, and they don't really care about sustainability. They're doing every single thing they can do to prevent that. So this whole building is being designed as net zero, all of a sudden, just to find out that the bureaucratic, and I would say from a behavior standpoint, this disgusting bureaucratic power company is like literally legislating through lobbying to have laws put in place where literally there's no way to design a net zero building. So there's all this talk about sustainability, all this talk about solar. The power companies don't want it because it would possibly take from their bottom line, right? So later in the project, we find out we can't get it done, okay? It would be so much better, a lessons learned for me, to research that early on and do the investigation so that we're not that far down the road. So if I had to go back and do everything all over again, I would follow these steps. Number one, determine the type of permit you need. Now that's not just the overall building permit. Like I said, you might have historical preservation permits, you might have the federal permits, city permits, county permits, permits that happen with the utility companies. There's all kinds, like FEMA permits, like I talked to you about before. There's permits to be on the side of a hill. There's permits for everything. So researching them, all of them, what you would need for the project with the experience you have is step number one. Number two, check any local requirements from a building code standpoint and local zoning regulations. Do that first and foremost. Usually that's done in development, but make sure that's a part of your process. Number three, make sure that you know that the vision for the project, right, your concept design can actually comply with the permit requirements, and that you're actually detailing and heading the design process in a direction where you will be able to obtain the permit. And that's one of the mistakes that I've made in the past. Number four, obviously submit the permit application, but let me make a comment here. Actually talking with the authority having jurisdiction and actually talking with some of the planners early on with whatever AHJ you're dealing with is crucial early on. So don't just prepare to submit the permit, have that discussion early on to make sure you're 100% ready, you have the checklist, you have the requirements. Because not all the time are the websites very helpful. Obviously then go through the permit review process, pay your fees, receive your permit, and start working with the inspectors. And one thing that I would say that I'll also say in the other videos is that tracking when updates to those permits need to happen, or when they close out is key as well. So having them tracked early with the research and throughout is key. And then close the permits out at the end. A good example would be certificate of occupancy, final completion, or if you have things like SWIP or NESHAP permits, just close those permits out, make sure that you've buttoned everything up and that you follow the process. But my big warning here is make sure you do the research early on, outline it, make it visual, make sure everything you do is heading towards a successful completion, not just with one, but with all your permits. Now I have more information on these other videos that I'm going to link you to, but for this one, I'll give you this checklist and I'll invite you to reach out if you need any help, and I'll invite you to go to those other videos. I hope you've enjoyed this content. On we go.